Alright, here are the rules. I am going to make tier list based off of MMA fight. So we are fighting in a cage. In we are just bringing out martial artists. No rules. Of course, you cannot hit the illegal hits. You cannot bite, and you cannot hit on some of the crucial areas like eyes, back of the head, and of course down there. All right, so let's just do it. Now we are removing everything. We do not care about how they are doing in the exhibition part or the traditional part or the lifestyle part. None of that. Just straight up fight this time. So we are going to go with the BJJ first because that's the first one. All right, now here is the thing. BJJ, you have to understand, if you're just talking about the hardcore BJJ that the people in the BJJ tournament fight, they do not strike. All right, they do not strike. They just rely on grapple when you talk about the traditional BJJ tournament. Now, considering that fact only, if you're seeing the only thing that the BJJ guy is gonna do is the grappling, no kicking, no punching, no striking, then of course that's gotta be a little stupid, because he needs to mix some striking part. So a BJJ guy with Muay Thai, he's going to be the unstoppable son of a bee. But if you're just talking about the traditional part, see guys, come on, you cannot win a fight without making your striking game strong. See, the grappling part is amazing because after few rounds the grappling, it's just natural because you're out of gas, you're breathing hard. But when I say BJJ guy, I expect a BJJ guy to at least be able to perform some one shot fatal blows, both with the punch and both with the kicks. So if we consider someone who can actually throw some good kicks, some good punches, and he's great at the grappling part, S tier. No question asked, because we are not talking about the weapon part, we are not talking about the exhibition part, we are not talking about, okay, one versus these guys or you versus someone with a weapon. No. I'm talking about a BJJ guy who can actually strike. He's going to be S tier. A BJJ guy who is just going to grapple, well, of course he's going to come down. But as I mentioned, I expect this guy can give some fatal blows. Then yeah, sure, let's go up here. Karate. Okay, now let me tell you one thing. I have a traditional martial art background and I definitely trained in grappling, the Indian wrestling. So of course I understand what traditional martial art feels like. So right off the bat, karate, taekwondo, kung fu, these are going to score really low because there is none. So yeah, karate, I do not think these guys are really great at the ground level. These guys are good at striking. If we are talking about the light fight, there are three categories, let's just say that. One is like full on grapple. Another one is you can throw the person off. You can apply some just normal throw, normal sweeps. You can hold on to guy and apply some body, what's the terminology for you, I do not know, but for my term, from my background, from my terminology, it's called body throw. So if you can grab a person and if you can use your upper body along with the legs to throw some guy, it's great. But these guys are not that good. And if we consider, all right, he's just going to strike and the ground game is going to be zero, this is going to be pretty deadly. Because here is the thing, I am big advocate of striking. But if we are talking about a MMA match, that it's not the light samba anymore, or the light fight where you cannot hold on to a guy, where you cannot apply the submission, or you cannot even grab the guy. That is going to be okay because there are tons of rules. But if we talk about no rule, as I mentioned in the start of the video, this guy is going to get a really hard time. So karate, I have to say somewhere around B or C. Alright, so as of now I'm going to go with the B part, because it's 1v1, no rule beside few adjustments. Aikido, okay, let's not waste them anything, because I saw one video where BJJ guy, you know, slapped the seagull out of this Aikido guy who said Aikido is much better than BJJ. So yeah. Sumo. Well, see, if you see, sumo shouldn't be on this list, because sumo is not just a fighting or a martial art thing, it's a whole lifestyle. You cannot be a businessman and train for sumo. All right, you have to develop your life around the art of sumo. So of course I'm not going to keep this on the list, but if you just consider the fact that a sumo, the full-fledged sumo, who's around 350 or almost, let's just say 400 pound, versus anyone, he is definitely going to win, because there is something called weight, and these guys know how to strike. But yeah, I'll tell you some of the, you know, things which you can do if you're fighting a bigger opponent. Despite your martial art background, I don't care if you're from BJJ, Muay Thai, karate, anything. If you feel like if you're fighting someone who's much bigger and much more massier than you, like who's much more bulkier, just try to go chill and just try to kind of deflect his moves, stay in your fighting position, do some of the, you know, do your footwork, what do you say, how do you cover the arena, and try to dodge the attacks. And once you see the person is out of that that enthusiastic zone, then you slowly try to strike. You do not think about, okay, I'm just going to give one blow to this sumo and he's going to die. Nah, you have to plan out, and you have to plan your offense. Let's just say for 3 rounds you're just going to go light, or let's just say for 2 rounds, once a bigger guy is really exhausted, then you're going to play out. If you're in karate, BJJ, or anything, if you practice anything, just make sure first chill, observe the opponent, and then plan out your offense, and you win systematically. You do not try to KO the guy, you do not try to, you know, knock out the guy. Instead, you're trying to get as many points as possible, because there are judges and referee who are counting how many hit you landed. So yeah, that's how you win against a larger guy. Anyways, so I'm not going to give anything, because sumo is something of a lifestyle and it would be unfair. But anyways, if it's a 180 pound sumo, then around C at least. Okay. Still no idea about this thing, Roma wrestling, no idea. So of course I'm going to keep it here. I'm gonna say no idea, because I have not heard about it, and I'm not one of those guys who's going to go to YouTube and gonna write that and watch one video and make my opinion about it. Of course I'm not gonna do that, because that is going to be a disrespect and a huge injustice for that art. Same goes with free wrestling, but sorry, but on my last video people told me that free wrestling is sort of a mixture between catch wrestling and striking. So I'm just assuming in free wrestling you can strike, you can throw, you can do submission, you can do grapple. So if that's the thing, then yeah, it is going to be S no matter what. Because if you know how to strike and if you are good at ground, that's the victory pass. Because as I told you, striking works only if you plan your offense. But if you expect a guy who's just trained for like 2 years, he's going to gas out. And then all you're gonna do is the wrestling, or let's just say grapple. So yeah, anyways, submission wrestling, I have no idea again, and I'm not gonna do that YouTube thing. I'm gonna watch one video and make my assumption. So what I assume from this is it is sort of a complete traditional BJJ where you do not strike and you just rely on some lock and giving the proper, the arm lock or leg lock, or you rely on submission. If that's the case, it's still amazing. But you have to be really great at it. You cannot expect a guy who's just trained like 1 year or 2 years to be so good, because the precision, it requires years of practice. Because when a new guy fight, he's not going to be calm, and the best thing which you can do is to actually stay calm in fight and do not lose your cool. So yeah, if he is like someone who's trained for like ages, then definitely this guy is going to take on anyone. He can take on anyone. Taekwondo, see, these guys do not punch, alright? I've never seen any Taekwondo guy. Of course, they can punch. There is few punches, but they are not really great at punching. They're like, these guys are like Chun-Li, alright? Great at lower body work. Fast, agile, but no groundwork, no punches. Like, you gotta move like a tank when we are talking about some striking part. So with that, I think it is actually going to be pretty bad. I think it is going to be C. Sanda is pretty great because I am a Sanda practitioner and there are almost everything, but it's not the perfect combination, and I'll tell you why. Great striking, great handwork, great footwork, great not submission, but great at grapple as well, because there are a lot of throwing there. You can do the body throw as well, you can push the opponent off the arena as well. But in Sanda there is no submission, so you cannot go. Of course this guy can do, but he's not going to be as sufficient as someone who is good in both BJJ and Muay Thai. If a guy knows how to strike and he's great at grappling, Sanda guy is not going to be as great as that because he hasn't practiced the submission part yet. So yeah, so that's why I trained the Indian wrestling. Anyways, Sanda, for that matter, if you understand, okay, the fighting is, the striking is there, kick, punch, throw, and body throw as well. So yeah, it is going to be a superior form of martial art than submission wrestling. Muay Thai, alright, so see, now I assume this guy is going to be the best striker with a little bit of ground level. So if you're talking about, okay, at the end of the day, you're going to go to the ground, you're going to do submission. If he's fighting against BJJ guy, if he's fighting against karate guy, or let's just say Taekwondo guy, or even Sanda guy, he's going to cancel them, or he's going to beat karate guy and Taekwondo guy. Sanda and Muay Thai are just the same thing. You just remove the efficiency of knees and elbows from Sanda. It's the same thing. Alright. You're not gonna grow one extra arm after doing any martial art. You gotta have those 2 legs and 2 arms. So I assume this guy cannot do. Muay Thai guy is not really sufficient at ground level. he's just the traditional Muay Thai guy, then yeah, definitely this guy is going to be A tier. A tier anywhere. You put him anywhere, it is going to be that simple. Boxing, let's just put it in the D. Better than Aikido, better than Taekwondo. Yeah, better than Taekwondo. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in C. See, boxing is great when you are bound with rules. You cannot hit with legs, you cannot throw, you cannot hit the person when he's down. But if you're talking about no rule fight, besides some of the criteria we just mentioned in the start of the video, this guy is going to get wrecked. That's why I've never seen a big boxer fight in a MMA match, like the Floyd Mayweather versus the Conor. That was boxing match, because this guy knew, because it will take him like few more years to compete in MMA match, because these guys need to develop leg work, leg strike, and the groundwork, which is a whole lot different than just striking. So yeah, but anyways, if you want to defend, or if you have some theory about boxing, all right, if a BJJ guy is charging and a boxer somehow slowed down the time and went under and knocked the BJJ guy by hitting his face, definitely possible. But in real life scenario, I don't think boxing is going to work against any of these things. Neither submission wrestling, nor karate, nor Muay Thai, not even nothing. It might work against Taekwondo. It will work against Aikido. Krav Maga, see, Krav Maga guys are not professional fighters. From what I have seen quite a lot of Krav Maga guys. These guys are like the specialist of those, unarming someone and avoiding the situation and trying to end the fight. But these guys are not really great at MMA. So let me try to show you how much I can actually cover in this. Okay, this is how much. Okay, so Krav Maga, this is a toy gun again. So Krav Maga guys are like specializing on unarming someone. So if you consider that, and consider that these guys are not really great at kicking, not great at, they are good, or maybe let's just say they are okay at taking someone down, but not great at grappling, not great at throwing punches. If you consider that, then yeah, it is going to be here, down here. But if you are making an assumption that this guy has trained in kicking, throwing punches, then of course you can do this. But I'm just talking about the traditional, or not the traditional, but the typical Krav Maga guys, the typical Krav Maga thing. Okay, this tongue twister, man. Judo, okay, judo is going to be A, simply A. All right, do I have to explain it? It's just like, let's just add freestyle wrestling, and let's just remove few of the strikes. Okay, Kung Fu. Oh, okay. See, when I talk about Kung Fu, there can be like 20 different things. One could be Tai Chi, one could be Sanda. See, Sanda is also a part of this Kung Fu, alright. Tai Chi is also part of Kung Fu. Wing Chun is also part of Kung Fu. So when you see I train Kung Fu, when someone says I train Kung Fu, you must ask which Kung Fu? Wushu Kung Fu, Shaolin Kung Fu, your Hudan Kung Fu, Hanga Kung Fu, or the Western or Southern. So there are many things. You'll be really surprised, but there is a dedicated martial art in Kung Fu which actually focuses on ground level, which focuses on the wrestling part. But we do not have those kind of master who's going to train you in each and everything. We are considering the fact that the average martial art, or if you signed up for someone, you went for their Kung Fu, they are going to teach you the traditional part, that the traditional Taolu, the kata part. if they're really great, they're going to include boxing and kicking. If they're amazing, they're going to add groundwork and submission. In my martial art academy, the Sanda, the MMA, which covers the ground level and the traditional part, these are three important things along with the meditation. But if you went, let's just say if you go to some Kung Fu gym, and if these guys are not training you all those things, and these guys are just training you how to like do those martial art traditional stuff, which looks cool by the way, but it's not going to work in fight. So yeah, for that thing, painfully I have to keep Kung Fu here. But being a Kung Fu practitioner, I'm going to defend it. All right. Now, if this Kung Fu guy actually knows how to strike, and if you're considering this is the part of this exercise or these things, and this guy is also good at this, of course, but we've already put Sanda here, and people think Kung Fu is something which just consider those, you know, slow Chinese movement, which has a lot of styles and stuff, which is like dance, then yeah, it is going to be in D. Wing Chun, of course, it is going to be in D if you see, but Wing Chun in itself is something of like a utility. You can include Wing Chun with BJJ, Sanda, Muay Thai, anything. If you train Wing Chun with some extremely advanced person who's actually really great at Wing Chun, he's going to tell you some of those things which is going to make your life a lot easier in fight. Sambo, see, I still have no idea, because in my country, India, let me assume, people in comment and in internet, from what I've learned from the internet, Sambo is like judo and BJJ mixed. If that's the case, then yes, Sambo, I'm gonna keep it here, because in Sambo there is no striking as much as I understand. All right, and this is what I've understood from the internet. If that's the case, then yeah, Sambo is going to be here for you guys, and for me, I do not actually have any idea, and in my country there is no Sambo, and I have no first-hand experience. So yeah, Sambo is going to go in no idea. Tai Chi is, come on, let's not waste time. Tai Chi is not going to do anything. Kickboxing A, and you know why kickboxing is not in S tier, because these guys lack any sort of grapple and the groundwork. Sanda guy is in the top amongst these, because Sanda guy is amazing at striking, as well as his almost 60% good in the groundwork. Okay, Lithwi, I'm going to keep it with the, oh okay, let's just keep it here, because Muay Thai and this is almost similar. Capoeira is great, but sadly it is going to be here. Luta Livre, okay, this is going to be similarly here. And catch wrestling. Catch wrestling is going to be here, because these guys are actually good, and if I consider these guys are also striking, which they do. All right, the catch wrestling guys do practice the striking part as well. So yeah, so here is the tier list for the 1v1 cage match, where there is no particular rule beside you cannot hit a person in the eyes, back of the head, and down there. So let me know what do you think, and if you want to actually learn few stuff, or if you want to improve your martial art skills, let me know in the comment section, because I've been teaching martial arts since really long, and I've been practicing martial arts since I was 6. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. Take care of yourself, keep practicing, and eat well.